Yeah, thanks for great introduction, and also thanks to Jeff Smith for shout-outs yesterday. So I'm working on GraphQL specification and GraphQL-js, and because I contribute a lot to this project, not only like code and PRs, but I review a lot of PRs and I answer a lot of issues. So I learned some interesting stuff about GraphQL and what you can do inside your queries. So let's start from something like simple query, nothing special. The most interesting stuff here is like inline fragment, but you probably do it like in almost every query. But what if we remove on part? Is it like valid query or not? Who thinks it's invalid query? Yeah, you definitely, it's like, it's a trick. That's why I show it. So graphical happy with it. So it doesn't highlight anything. It thinks it's valid. What about server? So we send it to a server actually send us response. So it's working. So we end up with like this weird construction which look like object spread in JavaScript. Is it bug or feature? I don't know, like let's find out. So like first place to look for like information about GraphQL is GraphQL.org website. And if you go there, there is like a bunch of menu options to choose from. And there is excellent tutorial. And you should definitely check it out if you're starting with GraphQL. But today we go beyond that, because tutorial doesn't contain answer to this question. We go directly to the spec. And on this page, you see all the releases, previous releases of specification in release notes. And before June 2018, it actually was working drafts. And we just like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, we had like first stable release, and we will use it today. So it's like a first page of really long document, and you can be tempted to actually print it out. But before doing that, actually change the number of pages, because I actually did that, and here's the end result. And it was even hard to find a binder. I went through a couple of stores asking, and I always show that to store owner and say, like, can you give me something to fit with? Like, so let's go to table of content. Even table of content looks intimidating. Where should you start? I personally really like Appendix B, because it contains like really short and compact grammar summary for entire like, GraphQL. And if you open a subsection about document, about like query or SDL documents, and find rules about the fragments, and let's look how these rules apply to our query. So first we need to locate the fragment, inline fragment, which is pretty easy. Then we will match like 3 dots. And when we finally see type condition, and things to note here is that type condition is optional. So we can safely remove it. So we absolutely sure, 100% sure it's illegal, but it's leave us with the answer why it was added and how it's useful in real life, why it's possible. So this is a screenshot from a section about inline fragment, and it's have example. And it explains that inline fragment can be used to apply directives to a set of fields. So it's especially useful with skip and include. Instead of duplicating skip and include on every field, you can just group them inside the inline fragment and apply directive to all of them at the same time. So like from high-level concept, let's go to something basic and to Lexer. Lexer is the most simplest part of like programming languages. Can be some, yeah. So like you can notice that there is two syntax, 2 ways to describe string in GraphQL. And one of them we all know it's like just quotation mark, but GraphQL also allows you to specify like triple quotation strings or box strings. And like from this grammar rule, we can see it starts from triple quotation, and it's triple quotation, but we don't know anything else about it. So GraphQL specification have really cool feature. You can click on any row and you go directly to a section explaining it in more details and providing examples. So let's do that. This is example from a spec, and it shows how you can provide such string immutation. And it's work by GraphQL just remove starting and trailing new lines and also remove common indentation. So it's work similar to box strings in YAML if you previously used it. And basically this request is equivalent to this one, just like it looks nicely. And you can use box string in any place where you're using normal strings, so it can be like directives, arguments, anywhere. Yeah, what about numbers? Numbers are usually pretty simple. Can they surprise you? And you can see like exponent part rule, and probably you guess it describes exponent part of a number. And GraphQL Spec have another really cool feature. If you put your cursor on some rule, it's highlight all occurrence of this rule in other rules. So we can see it's using float numbers. So and GraphQL also provides an example for that. So you can write numbers like that. And last example, and I wanted it to be something very like simple and basic. So it's a first page of grammar summary. It's explained like the very basic things of GraphQL, like what kind of source characters you can use, and also ignored tokens. And what's exciting about ignoring tokens, it's allow you to do minification for GraphQL queries. This is a query we start with, and we can start by removing the comments. And after we remove the comments, we can remove all the spaces. And after we remove the spaces, we can remove all new lines. And after we remove all new lines, here's the end result. And we started from 233 bytes, and the end result is actually 37% smaller. And like, when I work on this presentation, I started working on it like more than a month ago, like month and a half ago, and I put a lot of like cool features about GraphQL, or quirks. You can like, it depends on definition of cool feature, and I just remove them because it's not the main purpose of this talk. Like main purpose of this talk is to show you that there is like a lot of exciting things inside GraphQL, because it's pretty big document, it's pretty big spec. And today I just show like some things about query syntax. There is like SDL syntax, there is type system, introspection, query responses. And I used, in my slides, I use screenshots from GraphQL specification, not only because I'm lazy, but also to show you that GraphQL spec is like really cool spec. There is a lot of effort that was put to make it readable, to have a nice formatting, syntax highlighting, cross-links, and a lot of examples. And it's not only formatting, it's like design principle of GraphQL spec. Because one of the design principles is actually like understandability, just importance, correctness. Basically, spec was designed to be readable, not only like by implementers of GraphQL libraries or complex tooling, but by any person who is interested in GraphQL. So I encourage you to try to read the spec. Next time you have some question or try to understand some feature of GraphQL, try open and read the spec. Even my godson tried to read the spec for a couple of minutes. Like it was only a couple of minutes, but yeah. And if you have any question about GraphQL.js or GraphQL specification, you can contact me. We can discuss it in a conference offline. And I have GraphQL specification with me. I can help you to find an answer. I can even give you a page with an answer. So, yeah, thanks.